Ladies and gentlemen, what is real and what is illusion? Who is a prisoner? The man in shackles? Or the man who will not let his imagination run free? I designed this task not to answer those questions, but to ask them once again. And for that, I will need a collaborator. One of you, one of you, one of you, one of you.
Greetings, skeptics. I am absolutely thrilled to see you today. Today is April 5th, 2018. Today, I want to discuss bizarre weather, including this freak April snowstorm that we're having from the Northeast all the way to Italy. Also, wanted to bring up a viewer request, which was Artificial Sunlight and the White Sun Effect, who love a pet 21694 brought this to my attention. We're going to talk about that today. I have an AI update, big one actually, a couple of big ones, and then we have some more demonic soup today as well. So we have quite a bit on the docket. There's absolutely no doubt there's always something going on. More mass die-offs, but we aren't going to really get into that today. But I did want to talk today a little bit about this bizarre snow that we're having. And a lot of people in the truth community are attributing it to the chemtrails. That every time we're having an issue with the weather, it always seems to lead back to them chemtrailing us, and the next thing you know, the weather gets cold again, and next thing you know, we have snow in April. It seems a bit bizarre, there's no doubt about it. And the whole idea behind the artificial sunlight, I found this to be an interesting subject. At first I was like, what in the hell is this all about? But the more that I looked into it, the more I realized that this is absolutely something that could be tied into the Mandela effect. It's obviously true, and we're going to go through some of that today about how we know it to be true. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to throw up on the docket here real quick. We're going to get it up into the queue. I'm going to show you real quickly a patent that you yourself can dig up on Google if you wanted. I mean, Google is a fascinating service if you think about it. The things that's offered with Google, such as patent searches, and this looks like it may have been at one time classified. It's not now because it's obviously on Google, but I found it to be strange. I'm going to go ahead and just flip it on over for you and let you take a look. But basically, what this is a patent for a device that acts as a lens that heats the planet, for lack of a better description. And I'm going to show you some of the schematics to this thing. It's pretty interesting. Go ahead and toss this up into the queue. And what we're looking at here is them being scientists, NASA scientists, government scientists, taking the sunlight and redirecting it with a lens and irradiating a portion of the planet. Now, here's the thing that I find to be sort of curious about this, and why I will absolutely tie this into a Mandela effect, is because if you know anything about quantum physics, and the more that you read into it, obviously, the easier it is to learn. But the idea of a quantum fracture means that not only the dimension is fractured, but space and time is also fractured. So as we are moving forward in time, the fracture itself can reverse in time. So this is why the Mandela effect is something that actually happens, that's actually real, because once that fracture happens, what happens is you have a fissure that goes back into time, and that itself can change things within the dimension that you are in, and trade things out. For example, there's the huge truth theory out there that we have been moved from one end of the Milky Way galaxy from the outer end to closer to the center. Now, if this is the case, and this is where this whole idea of um, magnifying the sun and uh, needing to magnify, if we've been placed in front of a different star, or if we've been shifted to a smaller star, or one that has a different type of energy, that type of thing. I mean, if you notice, I mean, the mass die-offs are increasing all the time, and things seem to be shifting all the time. This doesn't seem to be one thing that's happening. One event that was a tsunami event that sort of changed everything. This is something that is moving along at its own pace. So you sort of have to keep that in mind when you're thinking about dynamics, and you're thinking about uh, the um, the shift aspect, the shifting aspect of it. And you have to realize, and this is where the whole quantum shifting thing comes in as interesting. So, what is the shift, and how come we can shift so much? Let's talk about this for a moment. So, we know that we are fourth dimensional creatures who rationalize things basically in the third dimension. So, if we want to go ahead and we want to make a jump from one dimension to the next, um, that jump is an infinite leap. The distance between dimensions is infinite. So, like, you have to think of dimensions almost like an onion skin that has an infinite amount of skins before you get to the next layer. So there's an infinite amount of possibilities within this reality before we actually shift into completely a parallel reality, or a higher dimensional plane reality. So keeping that in mind, um, there are there are an infinite amount of shifts that we can make within this reality, um, that would still really screw with our minds before we ever shift it over completely into the next dimension. So you sort of have to keep that in mind. So the idea of time and dimensions shifting regularly, um, you sort of have to keep your mind open to that idea that this is something that is going to be ongoing, and things are going to be changing consistently from here on out. I mean, and so it seems like things have that this is something that has happened a while ago, because the patent that we're looking at um, originated in 1968. But what I want to do real quick is I have a copy of what its purpose is. And I think that this is an interesting document, and I just want to share this with you. Hold on, I need to pull it up on my screen so I can see it myself and read it along with you. And this is the claim that this device made. And this, again, if you go to the Google patents, and I'll get you the patent number if you couldn't see it visible on the screen the last time. But I'm going to go ahead and shift this on over to you. All right, so the apparatus for affecting generalized illumination of a surface area of a planet, comprising of a satellite means launchable into orbit around such planet. Said satellite means including a compacted membranous um, solar energy reflector means unfurlable in space to form a rigidized planar reflector surface. An altitude changing means for oriented said plane surface reflector to intercept solar energy from the sun and reflect it onto a selected area of said planet for a selected period of time during each orbit. Said altitude changing means comprising a ground control means for transmitting altitude command signals, and on said satellite means actuator means for changing the altitude of said planar reflector surface. Ooh, that's a mouthful, isn't it? Altitude sensors mean for sensing altitude of said planar reflector surface with respect to the sun and to said planet. Means for receiving and storing the command signals from said ground control means, and means for comparing the received command signals with information from the altitude sensor means to control the operation of said actuator means. Lots of legal speak, right? What does that all mean? Well, basically means that they can put this thing up into the atmosphere and they can take the sunlight and they can reflect it back down on the planet. Now, why would we need to do this? If we have global warming, right? Let's go there. Okay? Let's go there, you and I, right now. If there is global warming, why in the hell do we need a solar reflector to amplify and radiate sun down onto us closer into our atmosphere? What is the purpose of this? Here's the crazy thing, is that there's actual video evidence of it out there on government cameras, which is crazy, okay? That's crazy. I don't have that loaded up right now. I apologize. That's actually an afterthought. I should have had that ready to go. But next video, I'll make sure that I have a copy of that. It's a good follow-up video anyways. So there's actual video of this thing malfunctioning in the sky. There's pictures of the reflectors. You can see actual reflectors in the sky. And these are off of government cameras, and it's absolutely fascinating to watch. Again, you know, I'm trying to piece it together. I'm a big picture guy. Okay, that's the way that I operate, and I feel that we are like really close to this. That this is right up in our face, and I want to step back and I want to understand the bigger mosaic. I want to understand, who's doing this? Why are they doing this? What do they know? What does the government know? What do the people who are in charge absolutely, what do they know? And then on top of it, when it comes to this whole aspect of dusting everybody with this aluminum and barium and strontium, what is the point of that? Who's giving that order? I mean, they have to be affected. You see chemtrails over the White House, over the friggin' White House. All right? So if our leaders are doing this to us, if this, the Senate is doing this to us, then our congressmen or the deep state or whomever the hell it is, they're doing it to their friends, they're doing it to their family, they're doing it to their relatives. Why are they doing it? What is the purpose of it? And I don't mean to get all loud, but I mean, it's aggravating. It's aggravating because they're doing it to themselves, so what is the purpose? So the question is who? Who's doing this? Who's making this worldwide order that we're doing this? Why are we submitting to this? And I'll submit to you this. I don't necessarily think that it may be a who. It may be a what. It may be something that we don't know. There may be something up there that is definitely giving commands to our government or keeping our government under control to do this to our own people. I mean, there are smiling pilots. You can see them on YouTube, talking about chemtrails and showing you the chemtrail generator. Ask them what the hell's in it. I don't know. It goes on when it's supposed to. I guess, we turn it on when we're supposed to. What the hell kind of response is that? Why are they doing this? Again, we have to ask these questions. It is absolutely irritating that they are doing this and we don't have a solid reason why. And I know that there's a lot of theories out there, but we really definitely need to start hammering home the idea and the need to have actual information. So the weather that we have Is this caused by our displacement in the universe? Do we have a weaker sun? Is that the story? Do we need to amplify that sun? What about the different radiation? Now, I mean, you'd have to be Helen Keller not to go outside, on a typical morning, early afternoon, as of late. Now look up in the sky, and I mean, where I am, the sun is white almost every single day. Now today, during the zenith of the day, it was actually yellow. It was a nice bright yellow. It was comforting to see that. But the fact of the matter is that um, that's not always that way. And I mean, it's one of those things where I've noticed it before I actually became aware of the subject. Have you ever done anything like that where you've noticed something and you just realized, hey, wait a second, this is actually something and it's connected. So, um, anyhow, I am just noticing right here that everybody is, I've got a whole bunch of people popping up, so I just want to say hello to Radar, James. I want to say hello to all the crew here. Thank you for the feedback on the on the strength of the signal. So I appreciate that. Um, no, okay, James. I just read your comment, and that's very interesting to me. So, German government said that they launched a sun simulator a while back. Now, here's the question: we have to ask why. Why are they doing something like that? That to me just it doesn't make sense. What is the point? If we are in a state of global warming, now I've read online that hey, it can also control the weather. Well, they're doing a shit bang job of doing that. Okay, hurricanes. I mean, what's the point of this? Again, population control. If so, who's behind that nefarious one? And again, they're doing it to themselves. They're doing it to their neighbors. They're doing it to their friends. They're doing it to their own children. They're doing it to their own grandchildren. They're changing our DNA by doing this. They're literally changing who we are, and you have to you have to ask yourself why. The big question is always why. Hey, Raider, hello. So. So that has been a big concern for me. I am again trying to figure out, um, is this an amplifier that we're looking at? Is this a lens? What is this now something that I saw some specs online for a solar generator that made its own light. Um, there's just so much. There's so much craziness out there. All right, so I'm going to get off of this subject for a moment, and I want to jump on to AI. Holy cats, do we have some follow up as far as AI goes? And I know that some of you guys hate the music underneath, but sometimes I have to run music for a dual purpose. It helps prevent me getting a copyright strike, and I'm gonna probably get one. Actually, you know what? Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an adjustment here. And I'm going to see if I can actually. I'm using newer software to actually to have this broadcast, and so there's a bit of a learning curve. But I mean, if you bear with me, I'm going pretty much as fast as I can. Let's see if I can get anything out of it. Oh yes, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little picture trick here, which I think will serve me a little bit better than just having the video. So I'm trying to avoid these copyright strikes. So okay, check this out. Okay, do you see that? You know who that is, right? Do you see any wires attached to her? I don't see any wires attached to her. They got our girl walking now. She's a full AI, okay? She's operating on the old computing system, all right? She's not operating on any quantum computers. Right now, she's just a standard, what we would consider to be a classical style girl. I'm going to go ahead and pop back into the screen here. Boom, there we go. That was pretty seamless and painless. The next one's not going to be so seamless or so painless, I promise you. So I'm following a little bit about Jordy Rose. You probably already know who this cat is, but he's been making some interesting statements, and he was in Vancouver not that long ago, and he was giving a talk, and he was talking about um, basically uh, the direction of AI and where they're going and what the story is with them. And I find this to be absolutely fascinating because I'm not sure if you're familiar with what he's doing, what his story is. And you guys have to tell me if the audio doesn't work with this. This is something I'm doing totally new, but I'm going to add the music here in a moment. And I'm going to back off and let him do his thing, and then I'll cut the music and his voice. But I did tone the music back, so just bear with me. I'm trying not to get that strike. um, this is Jordy Rose, and his new company is called Kindred. And basically, what Kindred is all about is adding D-Wave quantum computing to AI. Now, you can think of it this way. This is not going to be just for robots. It's going to be for cars. It's going to be for drones. It's going to be for phones. It's going to be for basically every type of technology that we interact with. And I'll be honest with you, when you listen to this cat speak, he's spooky. And where they're basically taking us, I can see why Elon Musk is a bit concerned. So, anyways, I'm starting the music because we're going to go jump into this video. Let me know if there's an issue.
Human at any task could do.
Oops, there's an issue. Alright, hold on. Gonna back up. I hate it when these things happen. Hold on. Stop the music. Cut the show. Go back to normal. Here we are. Sorry about that. We're going to try this one more time. Sorry about that. I accidentally tapped the wrong thing and it went bye-bye. So, we're going to try this one more time. We're going to just re-cue the music. And we're going to do this one more time. Sorry about that, crew. Here we go.
Human at any task could do better than them. So imagine there was the mental Olympics of the 100-meter dash, and Usain Bolt is the fastest person. Now imagine that's some kind of a mental thing, like writing a novel or writing whatever. Imagine now that the thing is so much faster than Usain Bolt. Like, for example, it's a spaceship, yeah? It's still doing the same thing, but it's doing it so much better because we're limited, because we're people. So what Kindred is trying to do is solve this problem. How do you build machines that are better than people at everything? Now, there's a mental block that we have here when we think about this. Because when you think about that, one of your questions might be, for example, what are the applications of this? So imagine this. Imagine for $10, let's say, I could build a machine, like a little robot that had fingers and eyes and all that. And it could do your job better than you, no matter what it is. And I could sell that to your employer for, say, $15 and make a profit, instead of having to pay you $100,000 a year. Now imagine that was true for every single job. So that's what we're talking about here, is a complete and utter
I don't know if you caught any of that. I hope you did. I don't know if it started repeating. It seemed like it was going a little bit longer than what the original clip meant to. Anyhow, can't really hear it. That's one of the drawbacks of the software, but that is a fuss for another time. Alright, so, did you hear that? He was talking about replacing us, replacing you and I, with AI. So, if that's the case, what are we supposed to do? You know, think about that for a moment. If we're going to be replaced for a $15 robot and a $100,000 a year job goes away, what does that leave us to do? I mean, I would imagine that there are still going to be things that need to be taken care of from a financial standpoint. I would imagine that everything just does not turn free because we have AI. If anything, I see things becoming even more exclusive until this thing wakes up and realizes that we're no longer needed. And again, I hate to harken back to those cars, but man, they so far AI two humans, humans minus two, AI plus two. So it's something to think about. It really is something to truly think about. And so, next thing, the last thing that I want to sort of yammer at you about tonight, and check this out. I go to demonic soup because I think that this qualifies here. Check this out. So this company, which is called 32 Market. Now, if you're into numerology at all, it doesn't take you too long to figure out that there are some sixes in there, and then on top of it, it's 32 Market squared. So, I mean, there is a lot going on there. And what are they leading the charge with? Microchipping their employees. You heard me right. Microchipping their employees. Now, you don't have to be a Bible thumper for this to make you stop and have some pause. Okay? And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a big Bible thumper, but this definitely stops to make me have some pause. This is definitely, I mean, they're putting it in their hand. What's next? The head? I mean, if you've ever seen the movie Idiocracy, where do you want your tattoo? That's wildly creepy. That's wildly something that I would not want to be a part of. Because, I mean, even if it is a self-fulfilling prophecy, I mean, we're talking about a prophecy from roughly 2,000 years ago that talks about not being able to buy, sell, or trade if you don't carry this mark. And here we are having a market lead the charge. Of course, the markets lead the charge with everything, don't they? Credit cards, the whole 9 yards. They're always leading the charge. Pretty soon they're going to figure out how to just have you have that chip in your hand, and you won't need to have cashiers. You won't need to have a U-scan. Everything will just have an RFID code, including your hand, and the appropriate amount of credits will be deducted from your ID, your account, whatever it is that it goes back to. And God forbid that it's hacked, because then you as a human can be hackable. And literally you being hackable. I don't know. Friends, this has got me really, really concerned where we're going, and I keep coming back to that word convergence. I want you to have that on the tip of your tongue. I want you to think about what that actually means. I want you to tell your friends about it. I want you to tell your friends about the Mandela effect. Talk to them about the things that are going on. And here I'm going to ask you, as a fellow skeptic, you're being sprayed with chemicals. I hope to God you are picking up the phone and calling your state representative. I hope to God that you are at least emailing the people who are representing you if you don't live in the United States, whomever that may be, members of parliament, doesn't matter. Whomever is in charge of your government, they need to hear from you on this. What is being done is dangerous, and if we can't figure out who's doing it and for what reason, then at the very least, we need to convince our politicians that this is a subject that they need to adopt, and that they need to take action on, and this practice needs to stop. So, what I want to do is take a moment here in the last remaining moments of this broadcast, and I do have the comments up and the chat up, and I am more than willing to take a few questions tonight. If you want to talk, I am more than happy to engage. My spiel is done. My big deal right now is building this community, because I'll be honest with you, I want to take action. I don't want to be hiding behind these anymore, because I'm nervous of who's going to recognize me and take action against me. I'll be honest with you, this is always nearby. This little device is always handy. And this is the real deal. And it's got the real thing in it. And this is how we live. This is what we have to do. This is what our life is. Because goodness knows you say the wrong thing and you have the wrong visitors at your door. You know what I mean? So there is a reason for some precaution. There's a reason why we do what we do. Obviously in this life everything is traceable, especially with YouTube and Facebook and whatnot. But yeah, you at least have to try, right? So, yeah, James, yeah, I am serious. They Market 32 or 32 Market they had 50 willing employees who punctured their hand just yesterday and had that inserted into their hands. And the thing is that if you do have any type of faith within the Christian faith, or you believe in anything that has been prophesied from Revelation, then you know those people are hellbound, and that's beyond. I don't know. It's sad in its own right, and it's pathetic because they were willing to do so. So that's my personal opinion on the subject, and I would like to be a little bit more empathetic towards what their choice was. But to be honest with you, their choice is confusing to me, and anyone who would make that type of choice is confusing to me. To be permanently marked by your government or by your bank or by another human. Think about that for a moment. So, here's the thing, all right, James, I see where you're going, all right, and I totally get where you're at. How do we ascend? There's a few things out there. First of all, there is a Reddit thread that claims that you can actually shift yourself using a technique, using water, because, water is playing a key role in a lot of this. It can be changed molecularly by our conscious stream, by our conscious thought. So we know this is scientifically been proven. If you get a chance, do the rice experiment. 3 jars of rice. You fill up mason jars with water and cooked rice, and you put the words love, hate, and indifference on each jar. Each jar gets one title. And for 30 days, you give the jar that has love affection. You say affectionate things to it. You shower it with love. The jar that has hate written on it, that's what you give it. You say awful things to it. You generate negative intention and negative feelings on it. And the one that's indifferent, you leave it alone. And the results are actually astonishing. It's absolutely astonishing. And we've done it here, and it is absolutely amazing. So water is a powerful element on our planet, and it is something that can be affected and influenced by thought and by vibration and by music. I mean, it's very malleable as far as, how it can change. And the other thing that's sort of quirky about it, when you think about the whole aspect of, how water plays a part within it, the idea is that that if you absorb the water, that you are changing with your thought, that you can affect the quantum shift. I mean, if you've ever looked into anything like The Secret, that sort of falls in line with the same type of thought process, that you make your own future, that you basically are creating your own reality as you go. So, I guess I'm not sure. I think right now the big thing that we have to try to understand again is why this is happening and by whom. And all of this is not just one thing. This is a convergence of things. This is a wild orchestra that has a composition that is very unique, that is tightly woven, and that has purpose. So, yeah, you freeze the water, Raider. Page, P-E-J, Page, I would imagine. Anyways, yeah, you change the water and then you freeze it, and then they cut into it, and then they put it underneath a microscope, and you can see the different patterns of crystals that have formed with the ice, and it's actually, yeah, it's actually fascinating. So. So it says, used to think quantum theories were so far out there, but they are closer to reality. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And again, when you look at the whole idea of quantum physics, that's where I was going actually with the water initially, was the idea of the randomness of quantum physics, the idea where they were taking it was particles and running them through the grid, and they were flipping into waves, the whole buckyball thing. And they realized that at a quantum state, that the particles reacted differently when they were being watched. Now think about that for a moment. Think about that for an absolute moment. So just by being watched, that changed the outcome. I feel that we are a lot more powerful than what we give ourselves. That we are a great, definitely a great being. Our brains are fantastic. I mean, they're so powerful that if you cut the corpus callosum, that your brain divides like an earthworm and you get two brains out of the deal. Wrap your mind around that. So, quantum science is our new science, but the fact of the matter is that science itself is flawed, because what is science? Science is always looking for truth. Once truth is established, it's no more science, it's now truth. So we lose that a lot with science. Science is really asking the question. Once the question is answered, then science has done its job. So as you can probably hear, I'm losing my voice, and I don't want to keep going on forever and ever, because beating a dead horse is never fun. But I definitely wanted to engage you again, and to follow up with you with all the craziness that I'm finding. I mean, the day that I released the last big video, just a shit ton came out regarding AI, and I'll be honest with you, that really concerns me, probably just as much as the Mandela effect and everything else. I mean, as I said, I do feel that we're coming to a convergence of what? Only God in heaven knows, if there is a God at this point, if we didn't destroy him thanks to CERN. So, that being said, I do thank you for joining me. I thank you for being a part of this community. And I encourage you, please, if you have the opportunity, share these videos. Let your friends know what we're doing. Invite them into our community. be gentle with them. I know that sometimes my videos come off as a bit scary, but the moment that I started doing this, crazy crap started happening. So, you know, if anything, it was just affirmation to why I should sort of remain a little bit more anonymous with this. But aside from that, we are a community, and we are in this together. And the more that we unearth, the more that we'll understand. And I encourage you, if you know of something, I absolutely read your comments. I absolutely try to keep up with those comments, and I absolutely follow. If you tell me to look up Antarctica, I'm looking at by Antarctica. You tell me, hey Tim, or you, excuse me, you say, hey T, I need you to look up the I don't know, AI. I mean, I was all over it. Hey T, I need you to check out this. Whatever, I'm there. So that being said, I am all about what we're doing here, and I am all about building this community, and I am excited to have you be a part of it. So if you get a chance, share this video. If you get the opportunity to, make a comment. I love the comments. I love reading them. And if you have the opportunity, give this video a thumbs up. Hit that alert bell if you want to be notified if any more videos being released. And I appreciate you being there today. So with that being said, Pi is out. Peace to you and communication.